What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, we got a treat. Jenn Ford is on the show. Oh, you know Jenn Ford, the woman in black, trademarked, Texas singer-songwriter, U.S. Army veteran, salute, Jenn Ford, and the Wide-Eyed Devils. Oh, you know all that. Well, you're going to know a little bit more about Jenn Ford in the next few minutes, so stick around. So excited. So excited. Speaking of excited, this week's shows, I will be at the Rab on Friday night, my regular Friday night gig. It's a public show, so you can come out. The video dance party, karaoke jam. Yes, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. They got a full bar. The kitchen's open. Pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, I encourage you to check out the Rab on Friday night, Conway, Arkansas. Video dance party, karaoke jam. I'm there from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. Good times. Always a good time. They got some good food over there. They always send me home with a plate. Last week I got the pizza. Usually I get chicken wings or a hamburger, but the pizza was delicious. Oh my goodness. I'll probably get a pizza again. And then on Saturday, I will be at the Choctaw VFW in Choctaw, Arkansas. Yeah, real close to Clinton. You know where Choctaw, Arkansas is. And if you don't, Google it, MapQuest it, your favorite mapping device. Waze, I guess. Do they? Yeah, I don't know. I don't use Waze that much, but get to the Choctaw VFW on Saturday night. I'll be there from 8 p.m. until at least 12:30, sometimes 1 o'clock. I mean, if you're having a good time, if they're doing that karaoke jam, video dance party, karaoke jam, and they got the pool tables, they got the full bar, always good people. They got some good bar food too, so you can get yourself some snacks while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to me, and the dance floor. Huge room and all lit up. It's a great club. It's the Choctaw VFW, and I'm so excited. I get to be there about once a month, sometimes twice a month, and I get to entertain the veterans and get the good stories from the veterans, and I get to hear the veterans sing. And it's a very special day since it is Veterans Day. So I'm stoked to be on. I'm honored to be at the Choctaw VFW on Saturday night. So exciting. All right. Speaking of exciting, let's get into it with Jenn Ford, the woman in black. I got her on Skype. So if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/Keys Dan. Skyping Jenn Ford now.
Oh. Sorry, I'm on my iPad. Maybe that's why.
Look who's in my face right here. If you're listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version because you'll see Jenn Ford, the woman in black. But you might be my Wonder Woman. You might be the real American hero. As what hasn't been said about you, I'm going to be reiterating a lot of things that people that know you would probably already know. But I hope that something comes out of this podcast that people don't know. Those are the little nuances that people like to hear about. Yes, they know you're a Texas singer-songwriter, Jenn Ford. Yes, they know you're a U.S. Army veteran. That's a big part of your life for sure. And they know that you're the lead singer, the front person for the Wide-Eyed Devils. But what don't they know?
I'm a really good cook.
All right. Well, I mean, I have a choice of putting videos in the background while we're talking. And the choice that I made today is to put the American flag up. since we're so close to Veterans Day, and, I want to know about your cooking, of course, but I figure you would be a great lead in. This could be my Veterans Day podcast. This could be the show that's a special for Veterans Day. How do you celebrate Veterans Day? How does somebody celebrate Veterans Day, Jenn Ford?
Well, if you're a veteran, the first thing you do is make a list of all the restaurants you're going to go to get a free lunch. And then you take the go box to every place.
Well done, and line your pockets with rubber, or maybe put a purse filled with baggies. I guess. Okay, I get that. I was a firefighter for 10 years.
Free Sam's membership.
Okay, I was a firefighter for 10 years, and I remember going to different places. And if I was in uniform, especially if I had just gotten off of a fire or off of a call, they would treat us with the respect. But I on a grander scale, I mean, I was only covering Key Largo, Florida, a little portion. You were covering the world, the whole country, and the world, taking care of us all.
I was protecting the whole world. Me by myself.
No, and that's one of the things that I remember about the Army of one. It does give you that feeling that you are an intricate part of this system. Yes, of course. I wish there was no wars. I wish that there was no reason to fight. But I wish that the Army could be put to the use of where you go, and that one of the uses is to rebuild what has been destroyed by war, to help the people, recover. And that's, man, I'm getting way ahead of myself. I need Jenn Ford.
Point out
Go ahead.
I did not personally save the United States alone from anything. Not me personally, not all by myself at all. I've definitely had lots of help from millions of other military members that served with me and before me and have served after. I just want to point that out. Even though I may be America's sweetheart, it's more like I'm America's shenanigans queen.
Well, I appreciate that you've made that. I think we made that abundantly clear.
I wanted to make that clear that not me personally.
Well, like anything in life, we rarely can do things on our own. Yes, there's a lot of scientists that'll sit with a microscope and look into it and discover things on their own while they're by themselves in their labs. But for the most part, we need people. We need people to help. We need people to help us, and we need to help each other. One of my favorite sayings was, if everybody swept their own front door or their own front porch, the whole world would be clean. So we need to take care of each other. Start with ourselves and then work outwards in concentric circles as far as we can go, as far as our resources go. But I'm getting so way ahead of myself. Jenn Ford, I've been so excited to talk to you ever since Tony Black said, "You want to talk to Jenn Ford?" I said, "Oh, yes, I want to talk to Jenn Ford." All I had to do was check out your YouTube and find out that you're a pretty dang cool person. Check out your website, jennford.com, and find out that you are not only a singer-songwriter from Texas, but you have your hands in the community. Even though I don't even know if you're still in the Army at all, or just give the people an idea of who you are in your own words, Jenn Ford.
Served in the military for 11 years in the Army. I was a military police officer. I spent 5 or 6, I can't remember, of those years with special duty in the Army Entertainment Division and the Army Soldier Show. And U.S. Army bands. I majored in music before the military, so music has always been a part of my life. And every time that I had an opportunity to perform in the military, I took advantage of that and was able to have my children during that time. I did serve during wartime from 2001 to 2009. I went in 1998 and got out to raise my children in 2009. Now they're grown, and for the last 10 or 11 years, I've been building my music career and got remarried to my husband that I've been with for 9 years. And now I'm rocking and rolling, baby.
Well, I mean,
Every day.
you're living the American dream. That's that life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it seems like you're pursuing happiness with a gusto, with a, full force. You've got the husband, you've got the kids, you've got the career going. Things are looking great for Jenn Ford, but it's not that it was easy for you. You've worked hard for this. You can tell just by reading your bio, looking at the things you've done. I mean, your bio is extensive. There's a small bio that's on the website, but let me tell you, Tony Black sent me a book about you. It could fill through, quite a few pamphlets about Jenn Ford. But you've shared the stages with greats. You've been around the world. Mike. Okay, where did it all start? Have you always been an East Texas girl? Let's start there. Begin at the beginning.
I would say you could just say yes to that because my parents moved here when I was in first or second grade, and I've been here pretty much my whole life except for the military. I did come back to East Texas. I never thought at 19 years old that this would be the place that I would settle because I was so hell-bent on getting out of here. But after seeing the world and living in big cities and living overseas, East Texas is still home, and I think it'll always be home no matter how much I travel. I love pine trees, and I love good barbecue, and I like crawfish and Mexican food, and we are kind of in the middle of all that. We've got a little bit of everything over here, and so that's how I ended up in East Texas. My parents still live here in East Texas. They moved away for a little while, but they came back and they retired here in East Texas, and most of my family is still here. I still have one son in high school. He's playing football. It's his senior year. Our other son is a UFC fighter in training down in Austin, and he was a big-time football player. So we're football people. We love football. Texas football is king in the nation, and we are very good at it in this household. So I spend most of my Fridays and or Thursdays, depending on game nights, out there rooting for the teams that are either local or and my son's playing in Austin this year. So I do a lot of driving back and forth and schedule my shows around his games. But they made it to the playoffs. He's looked at by a bunch of D1 schools, and we have high hopes for that. And being a mother is a huge part of my identity and what I take pride in. But I am truly proud of my veteran status. And I think in the most recent years, probably in the last 5 or 6 years, I've gotten really comfortable talking about my experience as a soldier. And it's not a unique experience, but it is an experience that a lot of people don't see when they see me walking into any venue or a store or a public place, because I present myself, fix lots of tattoos, jewelry, a guitar, and they don't necessarily see a soldier in this blonde-haired lady walking in, but I was a soldier. And I'm also a survivor of military sexual trauma, and I have PTSD as a result from that. And so that's been a daily battle, and it still continues to be something that I have to overcome all the time. And I've made strides and do a lot of really awesome things in spite of the challenges that I have with that trauma. But I'm happy to be using my platform as a way to talk about it and inspire other people to make progress once they go through something hard, and continuously work on themselves to become better at managing that part of their life. And so, for instance, something happened last week, and I've been doing really well for several years, but something happened last week where I had an incident on the highway with a drunk driver, and I've had some hard days since then because we had to go to the police station and everything. But I'm doing well overall. I've got a good support system around me, my parents and my husband and my friends, and I'm more able to talk about my experiences and work through them logically instead of getting caught up in that moment for too long and not having to rush off to, get immediate care like I had to initially when I first was showing signs of trauma. So I'm doing good, and music is the thing that is definitely what brought me back to being able to manage that mental health issue. And every time I get on stage, I feel great, and I feel powerful, and I feel like I can inspire other people to make strides to do things that they love and do well at it.
Jenn Ford, it sounds like you have a great support system. Not a lot of people have that. Some people get out of the Army or get I'm not saying that everybody in the Army has trauma or anybody in the armed services has trauma, but if you have some kind of a trauma, you may not have that support system. You may not have family. You may be primarily on your own. I mean, we're born into this world alone, and more times than not, we die alone. And I know that's a very grim way of thinking about things, but I'm glad that you have therapy. And yes, I saw quite a few of your videos. You have a video for the Ranch Hands Rescue. I have I did a podcast with someone who has a ranch here in Arkansas where it's horses and other animals, like petting animals, like a petting zoo that's for therapy. All right, me. I'm from Miami. I'm a Cuban man, half Cuban, half Irish. My dad left when I was very small, and my grandfather was a tough guy, very sweet, but also a very stern guy. And I wasn't raised with therapy. I was raised with the idea, and it wasn't just my grandfather, my mother, my grandma, very strong people. Therapy. Why therapy? Just a swift kick in the pants, and that should do you. And you get out there. What are you having? Oh, boo-hoo, you're having trouble? Get out there. Tighten up. But what is your experience with getting outside help, getting somebody to talk to, or what is your therapeutic regimen?
Well, I would say that there are a lot of resources now since the first couple years. When I got out in 2009, I had a hard time seeking help and understanding that I needed help because I didn't understand the symptoms that I was having. I've always been pretty positive and outgoing and able to compartmentalize. And you learn that you're conditioned to do that in the military so you can get the mission done, and you're able to put things away just to push forward and do hard things. But I think when you get out of the military and you have time to reflect, and you're in a new community or you're in your old community, but it's changed and you've changed, that makes it feel very isolating. And so it's hard to reach out for help because you're afraid that people will see you as weak, or they will see you as a threat, or they will not employ you because you have some obstacles and things that you're trying to work through. And so initially it was difficult, and I just threw myself into school. I threw myself into my kids, and I went about a year while I was going through the VA disability process, like signing up for injuries and other things for medical care. I ended up having to start taking a mental health, I guess, tally of the things that were different since I had gotten out of the military, and I was able to process the things that I'd been through, and it was becoming suffocating, and it was inhibiting my abilities to experience positive feelings, and it was inhibiting my ability to get rest, and started blacking out while I was driving. And the intrusive thoughts began, and I immediately was like, this is not who I am. This is not who I want to be. I have 2 children I have to raise. I need help. I'm suffocating in this moment. Something is wrong. And I was at least well enough to be able to ask for help. And immediately went and sought psychiatric emergent care and got on some medication to kind of take the edge off, and started intense therapy where, and I'm still in therapy. I go twice a month, sometimes more if I'm under a lot of pressure, and it kind of cascades. If I'm not getting enough rest, then I'll start having more issues managing my emotions and managing just everything. And it's like a full body, a full mind, full spirit thing that I have to do. Like I have to drink enough, eat enough, get enough rest, plan out my weeks in a way that I can manage my time well, so I'm not getting overloaded. And all of those things took several years for me to do. But fortunately, with the VA's help and my persistence and the help from my parents, I was able to gain a lot of ground and at least be able to keep my head above water while I started to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And music was something I'd always done my entire life, and I started to own that as part of my identity before, during, and after the military. And I just dug my heels in and said, even though a lot of people didn't encourage me in the beginning of my music career, because it can be a tough career to make a living at. I just dug my heels in and said, I don't care if I'm not rich. I don't care if I'm not making fast progress. I don't care if it's going to be hard, but this is what I love to do, and this is who I am, and I feel good about myself when I do this. And so that is the one thing I would encourage other veterans or people who have experienced trauma to find peace in their life is to pursue something that they can have a creative outlet with, or that gives them positive emotions and that they can pursue every day and own every day and make progress every day. Because once you see progress in something you love, then you start seeing progress in other parts of your life too.
Well, Jenn Ford, it sounds like you've seen a lot, you've been through a lot, and I'm glad that you have some kind of a management process that you're going through. But all right, this has been really weighty subjects, and I'm it's something that needs to be, it's a part of you, and it's something that could help someone else that's listening. But I do want to go back to a happier time, hopefully a happier time. Where was a young Jenn Ford? Where were you born? Tell me about a little baby Jenn Ford. How did this all start? What's in front of me? And you say you're not a big presence, that if somebody saw you, you wouldn't, they wouldn't know you're in the Army. No, you're not wearing an Army cap or a big patch or wearing your sergeant stripes or whatever, but you are a presence. So know that I've seen that on the video. It does come through when you're in front of that band. But before that, rewind. Tell me about little Jenn Ford. Where were you born?
Ford is the oldest of 4 children, and my dad served in the Marine Corps, and I was born when he was a Marine. And although I grew up in Texas, I did some traveling before then, and as soon as I could walk and talk, I was entertaining. And one of the stories that my mom tells me is that when I was at my kindergarten graduation, I was thanking everyone in the audience for coming to my performance. And it was my graduation. Thank you so much for coming to my occasion. Like it was my wedding or my pageant.
You are destined to be the center of attention. Yeah. You're destined to command eyes. It's not all about dig me, but sometimes it is. Dig me, okay? I'm here.
Well, no, I like sharing the stage with other people. That's not a problem, but I just feel like that I am the master of ceremonies, and I started doing that at a very early age. And so since then, I was in several plays in school. I was in choir. I was in band. I kind of got shy in middle school and was more observant of things. But by my senior year, I was the mascot of the high school, and I was the center of attention. And I think I sort of blossomed then because I was hiding behind the character of our school mascot and inside the suit, so I could be a clown and I could be goofy, and everybody was super entertained by it. And I think that helped me come out of my shell when I got to be in college and in the Army Soldier Show, because I am a goofball and I've always been a goofball and I've always been creative and funny and made costumes and planned parties for my siblings. And I just love to be the presenter of fun. I like people to have a good time, and I'm still that way on stage now. I think I project more of my character of Jenn Ford. It's me 100%, but it's me to the exponential nth power, because I want to feel powerful on stage. I want people to see the confidence, because that is where I feel the most confident, is in front of a crowd. Maybe not so much in some other areas of my life, but when I get up there, I'm like, yep, it's going to be a good show. That's how I feel every time we get up there. I have really awesome musicians around me. 3 of us are vets in my band currently. One of them served with me in Germany 20 years ago, and we were able to finally get him to come along in the band because he lives in Central Texas. But now we're both in a position where I can travel more his way and he can travel more my way. And so he's joined the band, and then our bass player as well served in the Marine Corps for 20 years. So I think that's really an interesting dynamic that we have, because we're all around the same age and we all have similar interests, and we can identify on many levels because of those interests. We can identify on the military side, on the veteran side, on the PTSD side, and then also on the creative side. And it feels like we have our little squad when we get up there and get on stage, and I'm the leader.
Well, it's nice that you gel with your associates. You know, it's good to find a certain bond. You know, when you said that you were the mascot, I thought it was a metaphor, but no, you were actually in the suit. Tell me what the suit was, what school, what year did you graduate it? Tell me, give me that high school spirit.
Well, it was the Carthage, Texas High School Bulldogs, which so happened to be the state champions many, many, many years in a row. But in 1996, when I graduated, they didn't win any games that year. So their fame came after I left. I was the most famous thing in 1996 at the Carthage High School.
I'm not going to say that they lost all the games, not for the sake of the mascot. I'm sure you did your job well.
I did my job. I kept people in the stands because they came to see the show, and I was the show. They didn't come to watch the football game because it was bad.
Well, I mean, tell me about the mascot. Do you work with the cheerleaders? Do you work with the band? Or are you somebody that's on your own?
No, I was part of the cheerleading squad. I had to learn their routines, but I was like the fat girl in the cheerleading squad because they all weighed like 104 pounds and I weighed like 160 pounds. So, they put me in the suit to cover up the curves.
No, do you know when I see you as a very strong person. I'm wondering, with the Army, do you still have an exercise regiment? Like, does any of that come through? No? Because hey, okay. Oh, hold on a second. Go ahead.
I mean, I used to, but I'm 45 and I've had several procedures because of how old I am now these days, like my back and my neck and my shoulder and my wrist. And so like my biggest workout is maybe going for a walk and lifting a little bit of weights, but I'm pretty physical on stage. I do a lot of high kicks. My friends all tease me because I get out there and exaggerate some movements and dance a little bit, but there's nothing like what I used to do. I used to run 4 miles a day. I used to bench 250 pounds 20 years ago, but none of that now.
Well, okay.
You can see my boys. They're 6'4" and 6'3", and they get that from their mama.
Okay. I know we're bouncing around a little bit in the life of Jenn Ford, and I do want to talk about your kids a little bit more because it sounds like they're Texas boys being UFC and foosball. Playing the foosball, Bobby Boucher. No, but yes. You are doing upwards of 175 shows a year. And I do just about that many shows, but I'm not the front man of a band. I stand behind two turntables and a microphone. I talk into microphones. I play the music that you are playing live, that you record for me. I'll be playing a Jenn Ford, some Jenn Ford tracks this weekend at the Rab when I'm there, and at the Choctaw VFW on Saturday night. So yes, I have the honor of being at the VFW on Veterans Day. I'm stoked. And I see anybody that's watching the video knows that somebody made a guest appearance just now, walking through with his headset. Looks like he's gaming. Looks like, you know, how I look when I play Fortnite.
He's watching podcasts.
Okay. I play too much Fortnite. So I have my my headphones that have the mic connected to them. They make it a little easier for me to play the games. But the man's
he's watching his podcasts. He watches my husband wrestle for 20 years, so he's probably watching some WWE stuff. I don't know. What are you watching? You watching some wrestling? Yeah, it's wrestling.
Okay. See, I was really into wrestling. In fact, when I was in Florida, I got the chance to do a party for Hulk Hogan, and he had a lot of his wrestling buddies there on Star Island. That was pretty fun. So, I do appreciate the wrestling. And I was one time an announcer for the Independent Wrestling Zone in South Florida. Bruce Santini, no, the Iron Sheik, not the original Iron Sheik, the new Iron Sheik, hit me in the back with a chair. And I went, oh, yeah, but I'm not going to say it was fake. I'm not going to say it was set up.
He fought Kamala. He fought Kamala, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. What else? Yeah. I saw. He said nobody you would know, but I saw him fight Hacksaw Jim Duggan one time.
Okay. I mean, we had, let's see, our big ones was Bruce Santini. He wore these little purple Speedos. We had Tito Puente Jr. that was wrestling that particular year. That was like 2004 or 5 down in South Florida in Miami. And I thought that was pretty freaking cool. You know, the wrestling is fun, but I digress. We're not talking about wrestling. We're talking about Jenn Ford. It's just a small part of your life is wrestling through your husband. And it's good that you have found love. All right. Now, well, that's the other thing. When you're going through hardships, especially if you've been abused, you know, it's hard to find love. But somehow, 9 years ago at least, you have found the ability to form a relationship and a partnership. How did that?
Well, he started on Facebook.
Sometimes that's the way it starts. Every great love story.
Well, I was getting lots. I was single, newly single, because I had just gotten out of another relationship and a long-term relationship, and so everybody knew I was single, and I didn't know him. But you know how Facebook has the people you should know, or they used to have it. I don't know if they even still have it. And I guess I came across his people you should know suggestion box. And somebody started sending me messages like, hello, beautiful. Hope you have a good day. My name's Eric. And I was like, who is that?
Wait a minute. Somebody's going to screenshot that, and that's going to be the meme. That's going to be the, who is that? That's like the gas face. Like I smelled something terrible. You know, you're taking it with a grain of salt. You're apprehensive. It's hard to trust people, especially coming out of a relationship, a long-term relationship that may or may not have been a good relationship. Oh, okay. So you've had some troubles in the past. So to overcome that,
most people have.
well, to overcome that, not only did you have this nice fella that you didn't know whether he was nice or not, he was sending you messages, sending you messages of encouragement, but there had to be other things that came into your life to let you have the ability to take that step, be like the turtle and stick your neck out to find that love.
Well, I wanted to be in a committed relationship, and I wanted to be married to the right person, but it just took a while to figure out what love really was, I guess, because my original idea with my kid's father, who we were married for some time, is that had a whole different list of expectations for myself and for him than I did years later when I met Eric. And when I met Eric, I was pursuing music and I was working full time, and the kids were living with their dad at that point for a couple of years. And so I was kind of back in the single dating pool for the first time at 30 something years old, late 30s. And I was like, man, this is like horrible picking, because everybody's damaged at that point. Everybody's been married before or has children or has baggage or whatever, and you have to sift through all that and then also deal with their traumas. And the main thing that I wanted was just a decent person who would accept my faults, and then I could accept their faults, and we could work to improve each other. And he was very kind, and he had a lot of things going for him in the sense that he was a family man and he was not already married. That was the number one thing, because I had experience with that too. But and he didn't have any vices or anything like that, and he was really close to his parents, and he was a father as well. So those were things that we had in common, and we were about the same age. He's just a year older than me, and he, because of his wrestling, I think that he was able to accept my career as a musician and an entertainer because he kind of had that experience. But it was hard for me to gauge if he really could understand the ambition that I had with my music career, because I was already seeing myself where I am at now, like visualizing it, and I still have bigger dreams still than the ones I've achieved now. And so I broke up with him like 4 times in the first year just because I was falling so hard for him and I loved him so much, but I was afraid at some point he would make me choose the relationship or music. And I was like, I will never, ever, ever deny myself as a musician again. Like I've done that too many times. So you're going to have to be able to accept this as part of my life full time. And every single time he said, I do accept it. I think it's great. I think you don't ever need to stop. You need to do this all the time. And it just was hard for me to trust that that's what he really meant, because every other relationship came with a degree of resentment when I expressed what my dreams were. And Eric has been the biggest source of support and encouragement, and has probably been key to my success because he's cheering for me the whole way. And I think that's so important for anybody to have is a cheering section, and someone that can stand beside them when things get hard and when things get exciting, when things get overwhelming, because sometimes these opportunities that are come up very quickly, and I have to drop everything to go and do it. And he's never told me no, only when he ever expressed concern. The only time he ever expressed concern was when it may have been without a lot of consideration. He just wants to know that I'm considering all factors and business wise. But even then, he's like, whatever you decide, I support you. And that makes I'm able to manage my lifestyle and still allow time for him. And also, I would say this is a new thing, is that I'm currently sober, and I don't think that I ever considered myself having an issue with alcohol, but I've made the decision in the last 6 months to stop drinking completely. And he never told me I had to do that, but I think that because of his example, and he's not a big drinker or anything, in our lifestyle, it just kind of came naturally, and I'm starting to see how much healthier I am all around without that in my life. It doesn't have to be part of my life for me to have a good time or for me to be a musician. And I think it actually gives me a better shot at a long-term career.
Well, applause for that, Jenn Ford. I do a lot of Sweet 16 parties, a lot of quinceañeras, a lot of high school parties. And a lot of these kids are already together with their, I found my soulmate. And I've done a lot of weddings where the kids are just out of high school and they've never known anyone else except that partner that they're just about to marry right there in front of all their friends and they're whoever they hold on high. And I often wonder, aren't they a little young to be getting married? You know, high school sweetheart sounds like a very romantic idea, or getting married young and getting your life together sounds like a very romantic idea. But when you're in your 30s, you know, you got a pretty good idea of where you're heading in your life, what you want. And there's not going to be many games. If you find your Eric, he's not going to be playing games. He's going to be somebody who knows what he wants. You know what you want. And if those things gel together, by the time you're in your 30s, you pretty much got an idea of what you want the rest of your life. Am I projecting or what?
No, I think you're right. And I've worked in the schools as a substitute teacher and a long-term teacher up until this last spring is when I stopped working in the schools. And I always usually worked in the high school or junior high, and I would always tell the girls, if they asked, you know, I didn't just volunteer this information, but if they asked, I would say, you know, there is no pressure for you to run into a relationship and get married and have children at 18 years old. That's not a realistic view of how the world works these days. It takes two incomes to provide for a household pretty much these days. And it's a whole lot easier to travel and do the things that you want to do early and without a husband or wife and without children. And so there should be no rush. Go explore the world, explore different careers, and explore what your boundaries are and what your goals are and expectations are out of yourself and out of another person or your partner. Because I don't think anybody really knows what they want until they go and have some experiences on their own. And fortunately, I was about 24, 25 before I had a family and before I was married, sorry. And I still feel like sometimes that even then I didn't know fully what I was capable of or where I was going to go. And I feel like I'm at the point in my life right now where I know who I am. I know what I've done. I feel confident in my own skin. I know what my accomplishments are, but I also feel the urgency to run as fast as I can to keep trying to push and climb the mountain, because time is limited and it's going to be a blink of an eye before I'm a grandmother or I'm not able to physically perform. And could be 20 years, could be 30 years, could be 40 years. But if I want to do this for the rest of my life, I need to run every day and do it as best as I can the whole time and make a positive impact while I'm doing that.
Well, that's the other thing, is keeping yourself in some kind of a shape that you could, you know, stay doing this forever and ever. I thought for sure Keith Richards and Mick Jagger wouldn't be on stage, but they're still on stage somewhere in the world right about now. And that's a fantastic, that's a dream to have that longevity, to be able to do this business we call show forever and ever, for as long as we want. Now, you say, I'm trying to get the timeline. You went into the Army as a single person, probably just out of high school, I'm guessing. Oh, hold on a second.
College.
Go ahead.
Years. A couple years after high school, I was in college on a music scholarship for a couple years.
Oh, congratulations on the music scholarship. So music has been a thing that you've been doing since you were a wee tot. You were performing for the kindergarten class of whatever.
1983 or 4, I don't know.
That's all right. You make me feel old. I'm class of 86, so I got about 10 years on you. But you were performing back then. And what kind of plays were you doing? Do you remember any of the plays?
I was the ugly Cinderella in kindergarten.
There's no way.
They had a pretty Cinderella.
They must have put a lot of makeup on you.
I was the one in the ugly dress.
Okay.
Then they turned around the pumpkin, and then there was the pretty Cinderella, and I was the ugly one.
How weird was that production? Okay.
I don't know. It was in 1984, so I mean their ability to produce a set was limited to whoever was in the PTA, I'm sure.
Okay. That doesn't sound like it bode too well. I mean, it's hard enough being a kid, but to call you no, they didn't say you were an ugly kid.
I don't think that was the real name. I think that's what I called the character, because I wanted to be the prettiest Cinderella.
And you were. I'm sure you were. All right. So Cinderella was one of your things. I wish I would have done plays. I think I tried out for Raggedy Ann and Andy. I wanted to be Andy real bad, and I didn't get the part.
You don't want to be Raggedy Ann?
Yeah. I could have been Randy. I would have settled for Raggedy Ann. No problem. But no, I wasn't good enough. So I ended up being the sound guy, audio visual. That's me, and I'm still doing it today. Look at me now. Hey, those are the little tent poles, the little beginnings, the sparks of what becomes Jenn Ford now. And going through, were you playing any instruments? Were you singing all through? Tell me about the singing stuff.
I think the first instrument that I ever played was the harmonica, very loudly at 3 years old. But my mom did send me to piano lessons, and I played in the high school band. I played the oboe, which is a double reed, fancy classical instrument, and I played that for 7 years. That is not what my first choice would have been, but my mother was very good at framing the instrument as being a very unique instrument, because in my perception, looking back, I think that was the only instrument that was provided by the school for free. So I think that's how she was like, "You'll be the only one." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that means they'll have to look at me when I play it." And I played it, and it was, I really wanted to play the drums. So I'll tell you that right now.
Well, your hindsight's probably correct. Okay, look, if you grew up with parents that had, I don't know, I mean, a guy on a Marine salary, is that a comfortable living, or somewhere in the middle class?
Well, there were 4 of us at that time, and I was the oldest, and I'm sure that making sure that everybody was fed while still entertaining my musical aspirations were the considerations when they persuaded me to pick that instrument. But I did well at it. I learned a lot about music theory, and I went to competitions, and I did well at it. So I do think that there's value in me playing that instrument. I even was asked to go back and relearn how to play it for the military, but by that time I was already singing, and you can't take a microphone out of my hand. I love that.
Well, but kudos to your parents for allowing you to that to blossom your music career. Even if they did give you an oboe.
Yeah.
No, I can imagine you at a Jenn Ford and the Wild Eyed Devils show, and just whipping out an oboe, and you will blow minds. People will go, "What is she doing up there? Oh, that's pretty cool."
You can't play the oboe when you're singing "Stranglehold" by Ted Nugent. I don't think that would be a good combo.
Well, and okay, that's the other thing. Is you all right? Primarily country, primarily Texas country, but there's so much more to you. You don't limit yourself. And I'm going to go ahead and bump up into the music career, because I'm seeing a lot of songs about the military, and the PTSD, and a lot of hurt songs, a lot of sad songs, a lot of pain songs. Is that by choice? Or is that by coincidence? You're writing some and you're covering others, pain songs.
I think that, okay, so I think you might be speaking about Nutshell, the Alice in Chains version.
That's the newest one.
That Angel from Montgomery, the video was released around 4th of July, and they all come from my album Americana Radio that came out in April, and I'm doing videos for all of them. But when I made the video for Nutshell, yes, I did make it veteran-centered, more or less to talk about the importance of veterans that have already made the transition and are doing well in their communities, to reach back and help the veterans that are just coming out of the service with that transition, and by encouraging them to get involved in their local VFW or local veteran organizations and resources, and just kind of giving them, hey man, this is how you get your VA claim figured out. This is who you can go to for counseling. This is who you can go to for just resources and stuff like that. And I think it's important for when we navigate that to share that information, because it's a way that we can continue to serve the community we care about. But yes, I do sing a lot of cover songs. I do have a lot of originals as well. I've released 25 songs since 2018. Some of them are funny songs, like my first EP, I did Backseat Betty. I did, and that's about my experience in the dating pool when I first got out of the military. And it was like, oh, no, I'm not going to go out with you. Like, I need somebody who has some sense and who wants to be around for the long haul and not just looking for a one-night stand kind of situation. But Baby Get Your Boots On is a good rockin' country song. You did mention that I am a country artist, and yes, I do sing country music, but I had a heavy metal band before this, and I've been a Motown artist, and I've been a rock and roll artist, and I think more than anything, I'm an Americana artist, because those the Americana category encompasses rock, country, and blues, which are all American-driven genres, and that's what I love. I love a little bit of everything. And my next album, I don't think it's going to be country. I think it's going to be more on the Southern rock vibe or blues vibe. We're still in talks about the concepts, but I was already speaking with Steel Records, who produced my last album, about my ideas and the direction I want to go. And now with Scott coming on as our lead player, my friend from the military, he is an amazing blues and rock player, and he reminds me a lot of Gary Clark Jr. and C.V. Ray Vaughan, and who knows what's going to happen, because I'm going to use some of his input and influence as I'm making decisions about the songs I'm going to pick for the album. I've been writing for 2 or 3 years and just kind of storing up songs, waiting for the right opportunity and time to bring those out, and I'm going to write some new ones as well. So the Americana Radio album was basically released to kind of make a statement about my influences and a catalog of the songs that I grew up on, and was sort of a guilty pleasure project, and kind of also to give honor to my parents, because my dad is a big, huge Clint Eastwood and John Wayne fan, and I wanted to do some music sonically that sounded like songs from the West, and just like that whole influence of Yellowstone and stuff was very prominent in my brain when I was in the studio and talking about the direction I wanted to go with the production team that I worked with, and it was Steel Records. And so who knows what's going to come next. I want to be innovative and sound different every time. And as long as I have money to get in the studio, I'm going to keep reinventing myself. And I don't want to limit myself to one genre at all.
Yeah, it makes sense that your dad likes Clint Eastwood. One of my favorites of his is Heartbreak Ridge, when he was a Marine. And I think he said in that, overcome and adapt. And that has been a saying that's been a mainstay in my brain. If a challenge comes before me, overcome, adapt, figure out how to do it. And you being in the Army, I suspect that you have a very similar mantra in the back of your head. But I'm talking about some of the music that you made even 5 years ago. You Don't Have to Stay is another song that it's very veteran centric, Army centric, especially the video that you did for 3 years ago. But the music you say, I said it was kind of a country thing. Americana is probably a better label for it. It does have guitars, and you said Gary Clark and Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's high praise for your guitarist, and I think he carries that mantle quite well, judging by some of the later offerings that you have on these videos. I see, doing Zombie, Blue on Black, and you did something so smart. Every time I talk to an artist on this podcast, you did a Christmas song, Don't Need a Lot for Christmas. That is a smart idea because that is something that's going to be coming back every year. Mariah Carey cannot be the queen of Christmas. You have to have a little space for Jenn Ford. Come on.
Well, I did Don't Need a Lot for Christmas right in the middle of COVID. And like that first Christmas where everybody was broke and everybody was stressing out. We had 3 boys, all football boys, all over 6 feet tall. And my husband was laid off at the time. And we were worried about what was going to happen with Christmas. But I think my family has gotten used to just being thankful for what we have and being warm and being fed. We've always been able to make Christmas happen. It's not so much about material things. Everybody gets something really nice, but it's not so much about the price of the gift or how many gifts you get. It's more about the fellowship that you have with your family and the time and the memories that are being made. And so that was sort of the vision for that song. And my grandmother, I mentioned her in that song. Her name was Pat, but we called her Meemaw. And I did that song with a reference to her in the song because our families for centuries have been just regular people. There's been no, like, we're not the Rothschilds or we don't come from a lot of money. We're just regular East Texas hardworking people. And I think that song will be something special for a long time. She ended up passing away not too long after that from COVID. And she always loved that song. She got to hear it. I think she passed away a year after that, but she did get to hear that song before she passed away, and she really enjoyed being mentioned in that song. And it's very special to me.
That's the power that you have. You get to keep her alive forever and ever. As long as you're talking about her, she's going to stay alive forever. And that's one thing that people want in their lives, to be remembered, after they're gone, to make a mark in the world, to do something special that maybe somebody remembers. And you're doing it. You're well on your way. The poets, the minstrels, the people the filmmakers, they make their marks. The scientists, the doctors, the people that make their marks in the world. And I say you're one of these people as well, because you not only played music in school, you did it well enough to get a scholarship for music. Now, when you were going to college, was it all music, or did you have a fallback? What's your day job? Do you have a day job, or is it all bet on this music thing?
Well, I went to college many times, but the first time I went to college before I went in the military, music was always the focus, but my parents were still not sold on it. So they encouraged me to use that scholarship to pursue nursing. And so I started taking some science courses, and it wasn't really anything I was interested in. I tried again after I got out of the military in 2009 to go back for nursing, and I actually got accepted to the nursing program after finishing some classes and graduating with my associates. And I went to school for a couple more years pursuing nursing. And once we started doing clinicals, I finished that first semester and was like, nope, still don't want to be a nurse.
I understand going to college a bunch of times. I went, the first time was psychology, radio, communications, EMT, paramedic. I did that. Firefighter, did that. So, people like you and I think little bite sizes, maybe like something you can get in a semester, a vocation. Oh, I want to learn more about that. Go do that.
Well, I did eventually graduate. I did that in 2017. I actually started school in 2016. I had so many credits and everything else that I was able to graduate quickly. I was supposed to graduate in 2018, but part of my degree plan was to have an internship, and I got my internship with Texas Country Music Association, and that was their first year. And Linda Wilson called me and asked me if I wanted to help them put on the awards show. And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, I can do this. Excuse me. I'd already worked with a couple other awards programs for local musicians, and then done some stuff in radio and newspapers and stuff like that. So I was comfortable in front of a crowd, and I told her that I would help her raise money, and also was happy to co-host because I felt comfortable with the microphone. And so she said, all right, sounds good. And for the next 3 months, I worked with her to help her put together the show and raise money and do the social media campaign. And about 2 weeks before the show, she asked me to perform one of my country songs. And I was like, sure, I'll perform a country song. I didn't have a country song, but I was like, yes, I can totally perform one of my country songs. And then I went home and wrote a country song real quick because I knew that was an opportunity that I couldn't refuse, and that it could typically help her first award show come out, more professional if she had different artists playing. And I wanted to give, I wanted it to be a success for her. And I felt like it would be a success for me as a student if I got up there and did it well. And then within 2 weeks of me performing, first of all, I got a standing ovation, and I played with a band that I did not ever play with before. And then I got a record deal 2 weeks later. So all of those opportunities and me going back to school led to where I'm at now. And the lesson I learned from that is, if you see an opportunity in front of you and you have any knowledge on how to do it, say yes. Because if somebody offers you something and you say no to it, you're going to regret that. And my life is so different now because I said yes. I could have been writing articles for newspapers or working at school or teaching, students. But instead, me saying yes gave me the opportunity to do what I love full time. And I don't have a full-time job anymore. This is my full-time job.
Some of the greatest adventures that I've ever had in my whole life is because I've said yes. And you're living proof that any song can be reworked, retooled, and made into, I'm not going to say a country song, but a Jenn Ford song, an Americana song. You put your own little twist on it. Your Gold Dust Woman, fantastic. Your Zombie, amazing. Blue on Black, oh yes, please. And I can see, and anybody that looks at your YouTube page can see, if they get off their duff from in front of their big screen TV, get off their couch and go out and see a Jenn Ford show, they're going to get a good show. They're going to get a happening. They're going to get an experience because you give them, you give it your all. I don't see, you have to work out. You have to be in some kind of a shape. You cannot be a frail person. You are a strong person. Just being out front, dancing, getting that crowd worked up, getting them in the lather. That's an important job. All those guys in the back, they're busy playing their instruments. They're busy, making sure that the tune is right. You're getting the people worked up, and that's amazing. An amazing talent that you have, Jenn Ford.
Well, thank you very much. One thing that I've decided and I've added over the last year that I'm really excited about is that I started playing guitar on stage a year ago. And I did that because I felt like vocally I feel pretty strong, but I wanted to be able to show more of my musicianship and also lead the band in a better way, because too many times translating what I wanted to the band was inhibited by my inability to show them on the guitar what I meant. And so now, I'm not the best guitar player, but I can at least get the song in there, and I can open the tempo, and I can follow along. And it also made me realize that I can learn new skills with music, not just the vocal part. I can learn how to play other instruments. The other day we were at a show, and Jerry, my bass player, was working on something with the soundboard, and he handed me his bass, and I started playing along with whatever's on the overhead music. And he was like, "Oh, you gonna learn how to play bass now?" And I was like, "I'm not. I just might."
Yeah, I just finished watching the Beatles Get Back, and all the Beatles used each other's instruments. So yeah, they were all great pianists, including Ringo, can play piano, and they were all great guitarists and bassists, and everybody got behind the drum set. So you blow minds if while you're at a show, you trade instruments with one of your bandmates and start playing the other instruments. No, but the other thing is you've actually gone to school and got music theory, and you're able to read music. So having somebody follow you, like Michael J. Fox was being followed in Back to the Future 2, where you follow me for the changes and try to keep up. That's something you could do as a front person with your guitar. You have that much more power, that much more control over what's getting played. And they could follow along a lot easier because you know what you're doing. Amazing. I'm just impressed. Oh, hold on.
I don't want to claim to be the best guitar player ever. I don't want to claim that at all.
No, and George Harrison didn't claim to be the best guitarist. He gave that to Eric Clapton, who he was playing with, and I think they all played with him at some point. But and the other thing, your Elvis connection, that you play a lot of you have a lot of similarities to Elvis. I don't know where I was going with that, but I just
love that. No one's ever said that. I love
just
Elvis.
A few of the things that you were doing, where he could sing all kinds of music, all different kinds of music, and put his own little flair on them. That's what you do. You take all kinds of music.
You just became my new best friend. I love Elvis.
Well, I keep a key to the Heartbreak Hotel in my pocket all the time. When I stayed at Graceland, the Heartbreak Hotel was across the street. From what I understand, since 2004, the last time I stayed there, it burned down. I'm very sad, but I stayed in the jungle room at the Heartbreak Hotel, and they had real keys. It wasn't like the plastic credit card keys. It was a real gold key. It's hanging. It's not in my pocket right now. It's hanging on my key ring out there. But no, I told the lady at the front desk, oh, the key says Memphis, Lonely Street, and on the back it said Heartbreak Hotel. I said, I'm going to steal this key, right? She goes, everybody does. Just leave your deposit. I said, okay. In fact, I want two of them because my grandma's going to want one, and she's got one too. Oh yeah. So yes, you have those flavors, and you can make songs your own. And I want to be mindful of your time. I know that we've been talking for about an hour, and I wanted to get into your, what your kids are doing. I want you to brag on your kids right now for the next few minutes. The footballer, the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Challenge guy, tough dudes you're raising.
We had some tough dudes over here. The oldest tough dude was the number one linebacker in East Texas in 2021. And he had a couple college scholarships, and then he went on to college and did what I did. And that was figured out that college wasn't for him right then. But he's a very handsome young man. He's also a drummer and a songwriter, and he plays guitar and sings and raps. And he's finding his way. He's 20 years old, and now he's living down in Austin and just got accepted to the Black Sheep UFC gym to train, and he's super excited. That boy has been fighting his entire life. He has been in probably 20 fights in the last 3 years. Just like, I don't know. He's never lost a fight.
Well, what's his style? Does he stand up? Is he a boxer? Is he a grappler? What does he do? He's
doing boxing right now. He has been boxing, and now he's learning Muay Thai and grappling. He wrestled in middle school as well, so he has experience with that. He was very good at it then, and he did martial arts when he was young, very young. And so he's got a lot of experience with that, but now it's different. He went into his first week last week, and he called me. He's like, well, he said, I'm no longer the toughest guy in the room. And he said, but I think I can do this. And he's super excited about it. And we're excited for him because he's been working out on his own, trying to get up his endurance and his just just his confidence to even approach a professional gym. And as soon as he walked in, they saw that he's got potential, and I believe that he's going to be really good at it. Our youngest son is going to school in Austin, in the Austin area, where his dad lives. He's been up here playing football up until this year, but I think he kind of wanted bigger exposure and also time to spend with his father before he went off to college. And so he made the choice to go down there for his senior year. And we support it because it is very competitive. Texas football is extremely competitive. He is playing both sides as a defensive end and a fullback. And he's made probably 6 to 8 touchdowns. He was just a defensive end, but they see his talent and speed and have been using him. And he's got some amazing plays on his Huddle account. And I'm super excited for him. He's a 3.6 GPA, so he's got good grades, and he's got a sweet girlfriend, and he's got his truck, and he works, and we're excited for him. I've told both of them that they don't have to play football to be successful, but if that's what they want to do, or they don't have to do anything with their bodies athletically if they don't want to, but they both have always been competitive and always been in sports. He plays basketball as well. So we'll see what happens. It's a very interesting time towards the end of the season because they're in the playoff mode, and it could be 2 more weeks of football or it could be 6 more weeks of football. So my schedule is kind of tailored right now for my performances to leave it open so I can travel down there if they do go all the way to state, and we'll see what happens. I'll be down there rooting for them, and I used to have a lot of cowbells that I would take to, ring at the football games, but I've broken all of them this season. So
you want it all. My goodness. Good wife, good mama, good, good performer, singer, songwriter. You want it all, and you're getting it all. You're fighting to have it all, and you make sure that your schedule is worked around so you can get it all. That's amazing.
Well, there's only a short time that they are kids, and even though I have my dreams, they have their dreams too, and it's important for me to support those and be there for them. And I also want them to see me as I achieve my goals, for them to see how much work it takes. It's not something that's given to you. You have to go out there and get it. And I think that I've done my best to show them, like, if you want something, you have to wake up every day and decide to do it. You can't just expect this to be handed to you. And they're both very goal-oriented kids. And it may not always be easy, and they may not have always done it perfectly, but I would say that both of them understand the value of hard work. And I hope that I've been a positive influence with that.
Oh, I have no doubt that has been part of it. Hey, let's wind this thing down. Let's give shout outs to people that have helped you along the way. And then shoot, I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. I've had a great pleasure chit-chatting with you and learning about life and what makes Jenn Ford tick. But give some shout outs to people that have helped you along the way.
Mom and Dad, Linda Wilson, my husband Eric, my kids, and my family members, my brothers and my sister, and BJ Mezek, my manager, and just my friends, having a good time. Steel Records, the Steel Records boys too. They've done a great job on my last album.
Well, all right. I always finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra that you wake up with every morning, or whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Jenn Ford, the woman in black. Let's give the last words for the people.
If you want something, choose yourself and go get it.
Oh, my goodness. There you have it, party people. What a sweetheart of a lady. What a hard-working lady. What a strong person. And not just physically, but also mentally. Getting yourself strong. And not too afraid to ask for help. Jenn Ford, you are an icon, someone to be emulated. If you need help, get help. If you can help somebody else, do that too. So once you take care of yourself, take care of others. Jenn Ford, you're singing it, you're walking the walk, you're talking the talk, and you're doing it. You're making all your dreams come true, and you're helping your kids to get their dreams on the right track as well. Because we all need a little help sometimes, from time to time. We can't do it by ourselves. I'm glad you have your good bandmates that are gelling, because it's tough. It's tough to keep a band together, especially once we get older. We want to settle down, have families. We don't want to go on the road. We don't want to go all over the country and all over the world. We want to stay right close to home. And you can do a lot of things in the East Texas area and all the way to Austin. But I didn't even tell you. I've been to Austin. I've been to East Texas. I went down I-10. I did some parties in Austin and East Texas, El Paso out there. I never did get over to Juarez, though. I didn't ask you if you've been to Mexico, being out there in East Texas, so close to the border. But you did tell me you like that Mexican food, so that's close enough. Maybe we'll do that on part 2. We'll find out even more about Jenn Ford. I'll be following you around on your various social medias, and all the social medias and all the website, jennford.com. It's in the show notes right there, so you can click. And while you're clicking, like, subscribe, share, and comment. Let me know what you're thinking about. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Thank you so much, Jenn Ford. Now, if you, yes, you, my loyal listener, I'm turning my attention to you. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's keysdan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.